America's huge. Like really huge. And while half the country's battling overpriced apartments and neighbors who treat recycling as optional, some towns are out here thriving. But here's the catch. Not all great places to live are actually livable. Maybe your dream city comes with nightmare traffic. Or your cozy town just renamed itself to attract remote tech bros. You need charm. You need real data. You need this list. In the next few minutes, we're diving into 10 U.S. cities where the coffee's good, the crime's low, and people actually say hi to each other. You'll find a city and a state you swore you'd never move to, a southern gem that's basically a Hallmark movie with high-speed internet, and one mountain town where locals will out-hike you and out-brew you. Think you know the best cities? Let's find out. Oh, and spoiler alert, Arkansas might actually beat Colorado at something this year. And trust me, you're not ready for what's next. Choosing wrong could cost you thousands or your sanity. No pressure. Like this video because, hey, your algorithm clearly thinks you're ready to leave town. Subscribe so you don't accidentally move somewhere with no Wi-Fi and one grocery store. Let's break it down. Number 10. Asheville, North Carolina. Alright, kicking off our countdown at number 10 is a city that looks like it was handcrafted by a chill hippie and a retired art professor. Asheville, North Carolina. Nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains, Asheville's the kind of place where people hike before brunch, drink beer like it's kombucha, and use the word vibe like a comma. It's artsy, it's earthy, and it's just crunchy enough to make your Prius feel at home. Asheville's long had a rep as a mini Portland of the East. Nature, breweries, murals, and more yoga studios than traffic lights. According to U.S. News, it consistently ranks high for quality of life, access to health care, and, get this, retirement appeal. That's right. It's cool, and your grandma might live there. So, let's talk about the real stuff. Median rent. Around $1,700 for a two-bedroom, and climbing faster than your student loan interest. Cost of living? Roughly 6% above the national average, thanks to a housing market that thinks it's L.A. Crime? Violent crime is above the national average, with a rate of 5.4 per 1,000 residents. Nothing crazy, but maybe keep the doors locked. Job market? Tourism and healthcare are solid, and remote workers love it if they can afford Wi-Fi in their cabin. Vibe? Still strong. Locals say it feels like a town that forgot to grow up in the best way. Asheville's great if you like artisanal everything and parking nowhere. Living in Asheville feels like a dream until reality shows up with a kombucha invoice and a lack of parking. You get that stunning mountain view right behind the Whole Foods that charges $6 for a carrot. Sure, the tap water tastes like glacier runoff, and everyone's dog is named Juniper, but paying $500,000 for a 900 square feet fixer-upper? That's not charming, that's delusional. And don't get me started on Asheville drivers. They either go 15 miles per hour to admire the foliage, or 85 like they're in a Subaru rally. No in between. Add in the artisanal potholes, and it's basically a Mario Kart course sponsored by Etsy. Picture this. You step outside into crisp mountain air, hear a guy playing didgeridoo on a street corner, and spot a vintage bookstore/cafe that only sells zines and pour over. Feels kinda magical until you realize your latte was $8 and they spelled your name, Snacks. And if you think Asheville is quirky, the next place somehow made weird a competitive sport. Number 9. Boise, Idaho. Boise. That's right, Idaho just cracked the top 10. Bet you didn't have that on your 2025 bingo card. But before you scoff, let me paint a picture. Mountain views, safe streets, breweries that don't take themselves too seriously, and a downtown so clean it looks like someone mops it nightly with essential oils. Boise used to be the best-kept secret in the Northwest. Now, it's the cool kid who got discovered, and yeah, the price is noticed. Boise's vibe is outdoorsy meets tech light. It's like Portland's laid-back cousin who actually showers and has a mortgage. People love it for the balance. Nature without total isolation, city life without the chaos. You've got river parks, ski slopes an hour away, and job growth that's no joke. Let's talk numbers. Cost of living? Up 7% over the national average. Not unlivable, but definitely not Idaho cheap anymore. Median home price, just under $480,000, which is wild considering this was under $250,000 a decade ago. Rent? Around $1,600 for a two-bedroom, depending on how many goats are nearby. Job market? Strong, especially in tech, healthcare, and the remote work scene. Crime rate? Pretty low. Violent crime at 2.3 per 1,000 residents. Not bad for a capital city. So yeah, it's affordable if you move from San Francisco. If you're coming from the Midwest, it's a, honey, we need to talk situation. Boise gives you peace and predictability, just maybe not the bargains it used to. You get charm, community, and shockingly decent traffic, but expect some sticker shock when ordering brunch. Boise is where you move to slow down and then immediately get stressed about housing. And can someone explain the obsession with float tubes here? It's like every other person is either inflating one in a parking lot or trying to shove 3 coolers into it for a casual afternoon river float. It's the world's most laid-back traffic jam, and you're wet the whole time. Picture this. You wake up, sun's shining, the foothills are glowing gold, and you grab coffee from a truck that somehow also sells bike parts. You hear a guy playing acoustic Nirvana covers on a banjo. This is your life now. Be honest, would you move to Idaho if the city was perfect? And if you think Boise's the hidden gem, wait till you see the next place where Southern charm meets startup hustle. Number 8. Greenvill, South Carolina. Alright, number 8. Greenvill, South Carolina. A city that sounds like it was made up by a real estate agent trying to sell you a quaint little dream. But spoiler alert, it's kinda legit. Greenvill has quietly leveled up from sleepy southern stopover to actual, I could live here status. It's clean, cozy, and has the kind of downtown where every third shop is an artisanal gelato place or a yoga studio that also sells candles. Locals call it small-town charm with big city flavor, and honestly, they're not lying. It's got southern hospitality, walkable neighborhoods, and enough greenery to make your phone wallpaper jealous. Okay, let's break it down. Cost of living, about 8% below the national average. You can actually buy a house and groceries. Median rent, around $1,450 for a 2-bedroom, depending on which charming street you fall in love with. Crime rate, middling. Violent crimes at 5.9 per 1,000, but property crime bumps it up. So yeah, lock your bike, Chad. Job market, solid in manufacturing, healthcare, and tech. BMW and Michelin are major players. Quality of life, ranked high for walkability, affordability, and friendliness. Yes, people actually smile here. It's weird at first. Greenville's the kind of place where someone will wave at you from their porch, and your first reaction is to check if you know them, or if you're about to get sold Tupperware. So what's the catch? Well, the housing market's heating up, the traffic's catching up, and tourists are starting to show up like it's Charleston's cooler, cheaper cousin. And that's both a compliment and a warning. Greenville's perfect until you try to find parking during a food truck festival. Let's talk humidity. It's not a little muggy. It's you step outside and your glasses fog up like you're entering a sauna with secrets. I once saw a squirrel panting under a porch fan. If you've never had to towel off after walking to your car, welcome to the South. Now picture this. You're strolling down Main Street, sipping a lavender lemonade, jazz band playing live in the plaza, some kid doing cartwheels in the background. You blink, and you're already in line at a rooftop taco bar with string lights. And yes, your dog is allowed inside. Wait, did you know Greenville's Swamp Rabbit Trail is 22 miles of bike path that connects breweries and parks? Yeah, beer-powered cardio. That's peak Gen Z retirement planning. Remember when Asheville made you pay dollars for a latte and called it rustic? Greenvill gives you charm and change back. And if Greenvill is a southern postcard, wait till you see the city that's basically a college town wrapped in startup culture. Number 7. Madison, Wisconsin. Coming in hot at number 7 is Madison, Wisconsin, aka the city that proves being landlocked doesn't mean being boring. This is a college town that grew up, kind of. It still parties on game days like it's 2003, but now it also has an award-winning farmers market and a biotech hub. Basically, Madison's what happens when you mix beer, brains, and biking into one extremely livable city. Madison is known for its lakes, progressive politics, cheese curds, and a lot of bicycles. Home to the University of Wisconsin, it's part college town chaos, part Capitol building calm. It's been ranked one of the best places to live for young professionals, remote workers, and anyone who still owns a fleece vest. And it's got Midwestern nice down to a science, which is like regular nice, but with more casseroles. Let's get into the facts. Cost of living, just a hair above national average, around 2 to 3% higher. Median rent, about $1,500 for a 2-bedroom, less if you're cool living near students who think deodorant is optional. Crime rate, violent crime at 3.2 per 1,000, pretty tame for a city its size. Job market, strong in tech, healthcare, and education. Epicenter of research jobs and startups. Quality of life, high. Like, maybe I'll just stay forever, high. Local quote from Reddit at Madtown Milkshake. Madison's great. If you can survive winter, the bratwurst will take care of you emotionally. Honestly, Madison is the only place I know where you can kayak to your office, eat cheese for lunch, and then protest tuition fees, all before 5 p.m. But let's not skip over the frozen elephant in the room, winter. It's cold. No, like, don't touch the doorknob without gloves, cold. But here's the twist. People still bike. Through snow. Uphill. With groceries. Like it's just a mild inconvenience. Madison doesn't flinch. Let's talk about this weather denial. Madison residents will literally say, "It's not that bad," as they chip ice off their eyebrows. Meanwhile, I'm out here dressed like a walking sleeping bag, trying not to lose a toe crossing the street. You ever sneeze and get frostbite? No. Welcome to Wisconsin. Imagine standing by Lake Mendota at sunset, the Capitol Dome glowing in the distance, your breath visible in the crisp air. A street musician's playing acoustic Fleetwood Mac, and the scent of warm pretzels hits you like a hug. It's calm. It's cozy. You forget the stats until you realize Madison's job market and safety score just sealed the deal. You know what's wild? Madison has a lower violent crime rate than some sunny, palm tree-filled cities in California. But sure, go where the weather's warm and the sirens never stop. And if Madison's got you craving charm with a side of snow, the next city swaps the snow for craft beer and weird festivals and somehow pulls it off. Number 6. Bend, Oregon. Alright, number 6 is Bend, Oregon. Yes, Bend. The town where every third person owns a kayak, a rescue dog, and exactly 4 Patagonia jackets. Bend is what happens when an outdoor gear catalog comes to life. You've got snow-capped mountains, river trails, and more breweries than dentists. It's charming, it's scenic, and honestly, it might be trying a little too hard to be your outdoorsy soulmate. Bend's got a golden boy glow in lifestyle magazines, best place for remote workers, best place for adventure lovers, best place to feel superior about your IPA knowledge. It's built for weekend warriors and work-from-hammock types. You can ski in the morning, bike in the afternoon, and end the day drinking craft beer next to a dog named Waffles. But here's what the glossy photos don't show. Cost of living? Roughly 20% higher than the national average. Median home price, a spicy $720,000. Rent, around $2,100 per month for a 2-bed. Hope you brought a roommate and a tent. Job market, mostly tourism, healthcare, and remote workers, if your job lets you work from a hammock. Crime rate, violent crime sits at 2.1 per 1,000. Not too shabby, unless you count emotional trauma from trying to buy a house here. Honestly, for those prices, I better get a house, a Subaru, and a starter pack of artisanal flannel. So what do you get for your money? Peace, prestige, and proximity to powder. But also, a growing housing crisis, an influx of Californians, and a line at the food truck that wraps around the block twice. Bend is paradise, if your version of paradise involves $7 coffee and everyone owning a paddleboard. Let's talk about that coffee. I swear every place in Bend serves you a cup like it's a spiritual experience. This is a single origin roast steeped with glacier mist and mountain karma. Bro, just give me caffeine and stop charging me like it's a bottle of wine. Picture it, morning sun hitting MT Bachelor, crisp air filling your lungs, your dog sprinting beside you on a pine-scented trail. Someone passes by in a beanie in July and smiles. There's birdsong. There's balance. Then you remember your rent is due, and you cry silently into your oat milk latte. And if Bend is a mountain paradise with a mortgage, the next city is where charm meets southern weird, and the weird wins. Alright, quick breather. Stretch your legs. Blink a few times. Try not to Google Zillow listings yet. Fun fact, Madison, Wisconsin has more bikes than cars. And yes, that includes the guy biking through a blizzard with a bag of cheese curds like it's a side quest. Wild but true headline. In Boise, someone once floated a full living room, couch, lamp, rug, and all, down the river just to chill with the boys. And you know what? Respect. Did your city make the list? Or did we totally skip your charming little bubble of overpriced coffee and chaotic roundabouts? Drop it in the comments. Bonus points if it's sarcastic. And hey, if you're still here, you probably remember the Bend Coffee Enlightenment cult. You know who you are. Like this video because the algorithm needs validation as much as we do. Subscribe so you don't accidentally move somewhere with great vibes and zero plumbing. Okay, hard pivot. Did you know there's a town that legally declared itself the center of the universe? Yeah, and no, it's not Portland. Yet. Coming up next, a city that's part college town, part fever dream, and it weirdly works. Let's keep it going. Number 5. Fayetteville, Arkansas. Alright, number 5 is the shocker nobody saw coming, unless you're from there. It's Fayetteville, Arkansas. Yes, Arkansas. Yes, I double-checked the spelling. And no, this isn't a prank. Fayetteville is low-key one of the fastest-growing cities in the South, and it's got charm coming out of its bike lanes. Nestled in the Ozark Mountains, it's outdoorsy, artistic, and fueled by equal parts college spirit and startup energy. You've got craft breweries, live music, mountain views, and a university with a football team that people take very seriously. Basically, it's a small city that acts like a cool town and still lets you park without a master's degree in parallel geometry. Now the numbers, because we do math here. Cost of living? Nearly 12% below the national average. Median rent, around $1,250 per month for a 2-bed. Median home price, roughly $320,000. You can actually buy a house and still afford food. Crime rate, violent crime, is 4.3 per 1,000, average not scary. Job market? Thanks to Walmart HQ nearby, hi Bentonville, there's a solid economy in tech, retail, and supply chain. It's like Austin before it sold out, but with more trees and fewer scooters. Fayetteville is the kind of place where you can go hiking at 9, hit a brewery at 5, and see a guy in Razorbacks face paint on a Tuesday. It's chaotic good. So what's the catch? Well, it's not exactly bursting with nightlife unless you count live acoustic covers of Fleetwood Mac at the local taco bar. And yeah, it still gets humid enough in July to boil your will to live. Fayetteville drivers treat stop signs like polite suggestions, especially near campus. One guy literally rolled through on a skateboard with a mattress. A mattress. Like it's a normal Tuesday in gravity-optional Arkansas. Picture this. You're sipping cold brew on a shaded patio, Ozark breeze in your hair, live music playing softly from a bar down the street. Students bike by, someone walks their dog wearing a bandana, and your rent doesn't require a second job and a GoFundMe. Fayetteville's crime rate is lower than parts of sunny, paradise-adjacent California. But sure, keep paying $3,200 for an apartment with bars on the window. Would you actually move to Arkansas if the city checked all your boxes? Yes or no, be honest. No one's watching, except the algorithm. And if you think Fayetteville's the underdog, wait till you see the next place, where charm and chaos crash headfirst into a college town with too much personality. Number 4. Boulder, Colorado. Number 4 on the list is Boulder, Colorado, the city where every third person is a triathlete, and the other 2 are probably hiking with their dog named Zen. This place isn't just charming, it's Boulder. It drinks green juice, climbs mountains before breakfast, and casually ranks as one of the happiest cities in the country while you're still figuring out how to pay rent. Boulder is Colorado's golden child. Stunning views, clean streets, a top-tier university, and outdoor activities that sound like an REI fever dream. It's a hub for tech, startups, and people who use the phrase, my energy healer, unironically. You want charm? Boulder's got mountain air, a walkable downtown, and more kombucha flavors than most towns have pizza options. Let's talk numbers, because under that yoga-toned surface is some serious wallet burn. Cost of living, around 42% higher than the national average. Deep breaths. Median home price, $960,000. Yes, almost $1 million for that 3-bed you still have to mow. Rent? A modest $2,400 per month for a 2-bedroom. Yikes. Crime rate, low-ish. Violent crime is 2.4 per 1,000. So you're safe, just broke. Job market, strong in tech, education, and research. Also high demand for baristas who could discuss quantum physics. Boulder is heaven if heaven costs $9 for a smoothie and everyone owns a Subaru. Look, if I'm paying $1 million for a home, I better wake up with a direct view of Bigfoot brushing his teeth. Living in Boulder is like dating someone who's gorgeous, successful, and really into manifesting abundance. Amazing but exhausting. You get the lifestyle and the price tag to match. And let's talk drivers. Boulder folks will stop for a squirrel, but not a stop sign. It's all Teslas and Subarus darting through traffic circles like it's a Mario Kart bonus round. Bonus points if someone's paddleboard is hanging out their trunk. Imagine this. You step outside and breathe in crisp mountain air. The flatirons rise in the distance. A guy jogs past with his dog and a baby strapped to his chest, drinking a beet smoothie and smiling. It's beautiful. It's clean. It's peaceful. And then you remember your rent's due, and suddenly that beet smoothie tastes like regret. And if you think Boulder's intense, wait till you meet the next city, where historic charm and beach vibes collide in the most delicious way possible. Number 3. Saratoga Springs, New York. Coming in hot at number 3 is Saratoga Springs, New York, where horse racing meets spa water, and your neighbor probably has a PhD in Revolutionary War trivia. This isn't just a charming city. It's a whole mood. Historic buildings? Check. Walkable downtown? Check. Weekly farmers market with someone playing acoustic Beatles covers? Absolutely. Saratoga Springs has long been a northeast getaway for fancy people who still use words like summering. It's famous for 3 things. Mineral springs, thoroughbred horse racing, giving you just enough bougie energy without making you hate yourself. Think of it as a Hallmark movie town if the characters had trust funds and strong opinions on local jazz festivals. Now, let's look at the details. Median home price, around $510,000, up 7% year over year. So yeah, the charm comes with a check. Rent, a solid $1,900 per month for a 2-bed. Depends how close you want to be to the racetrack. Crime rate, 2.1 per 1,000. Translation, it's safer than your average mall parking lot. Job market, it's got legs. Healthcare, tourism, education, and remote work culture are thriving. Cost of living, about 10% higher than the national average, but again, mineral water apparently isn't cheap. Living here is like being in a vintage postcard with really expensive coffee. Honestly, if the water's been bubbling out of the ground since the 1800s, why is it $6 a glass and served in a mason jar like it's holy? So yeah, Saratoga Springs is gorgeous. But don't expect big city salaries unless you're bringing your job with you. You'll get peace, charm, and 4 art galleries per block, but your budget better be as curated as the brunch menu. And while we're here, can we talk about upstate New York drivers? They either crawl like it's their first time seeing a 4-way stop or whip their Subarus around corners like they're auditioning for Fast and Furiously Lost in Albany. No in between. It's either Grandma or Vin Diesel. Picture this. You're walking down Broadway, crisp fall leaves crunching underfoot, live jazz floating from a cafe, and someone's golden retriever in a bow tie just nodded at you. You grab an espresso, stroll past a 200-year-old inn, and yeah, it feels like you just stepped into a postcard that charges rent. And if Saratoga is elegance with a side of horse bets, the next city throws you into pure college town chaos with way too much personality. Number 2. Ann Arbor, Michigan. Number 2 is Ann Arbor, Michigan, the city where you'll overhear 3 PhDs debating quantum ethics over brunch, and that's just the wait staff. Ann Arbor is what happens when a college town refuses to grow up, but somehow turns that into a lifestyle brand. It's smart, walkable, green, and just chaotic enough to be interesting. Home to the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor's got street cred. It's known for being brainy, liberal, eco-friendly, and full of charming bookstores where someone's definitely writing a novel about squirrels. You'll find indie coffee shops, rooftop gardens, and events like Shakespeare in the Arboretum, because apparently that's a thing we're doing now. But under that scholarly charm, here's what's really going on. Cost of living? About 9% higher than the national average. Blame it on the professors and tech bros. Median home price, around $485,000. Cute craftsman bungalows now come with a small identity crisis. Rent? About $1,900 per month for a 2-bed, unless you enjoy the thrilling scent of old dorms. Crime rate, 2.5 per 1,000, not bad. You're more likely to get judged for your latte order than mugged. Job market, strong. Thanks to tech, research, healthcare, and a whole lot of grad students who haven't slept since 2022. Ann Arbor is amazing until you try to park anywhere. Then it's just a cute nightmare. Imagine paying $2,000 a month just to share a sidewalk with a guy juggling while explaining blockchain to his dog. That's Ann Arbor energy. You'll fall in love with the leafy streets, the bookstore cafes, the farmers markets with fiddle music, but brace yourself. The prices are steep, The winters are real, and parking is more myth than science. Ann Arbor has this thing where they charge $5.25 for a cappuccino, but it comes in a cup made from recycled forest air and is served with a poetry quote. Like, "Thanks, but I just needed caffeine and directions." Picture this. You're biking through the diagram, golden leaves swirling in the breeze, a street performer playing jazz near a food truck that only sells gourmet pierogies. You grab your ethically sourced cold brew, wave to your neighbor, who's both a yoga teacher and neurosurgeon, and realize you kinda dig it here. Remember that time you thought Asheville was the quirky one? Yeah, Ann Arbor said, "Hold my compostable beer." Fun fact, Ann Arbor was one of the first cities in the U.S. to legalize magic mushrooms, medicinally, of course. Probably explains all the poetry slams. And if Ann Arbor's got you thinking smart is sexy, wait till you see the next city, where Southern charm meets straight-up storybook fantasy. Number 1. Charleston, South Carolina. And here it is. Number 1. The crown jewel of American charm. The city where cobblestone streets and Southern accents collide in a romantic slow dance called Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, you probably guessed it. But let's be real, it earned this spot. Charleston has that you-should-be-writing-a-novel-here energy. It's got historic architecture, waterfront views, low-country cuisine, and that sweet Southern hospitality that feels suspiciously polite, but totally disarming. It's where people say y'all while handing you the best shrimp and grits of your life, and you genuinely consider never leaving. Here's the charming fine print. Median home price, around $540,000, and rising faster than humidity in July. Average rent for a 2-bedroom, about $2,100 per month, unless you want that ocean breeze, then double it and pray. Cost of living, 11% above the national average. Crime rate, 4.5 per 1,000 for violent crime. Not great, not terrifying. Use common sense and keep your porch light on. Job market, solid in hospitality, tech, health, and aerospace. Yes, aerospace. Because apparently, Charleston can build jets and mint juleps. Living here is like being in a Nicholas Sparks novel, but with more tourists and fewer emotionally available men. If you've ever wanted to be hot, slightly sticky, and surrounded by pastel buildings, congrats, Charleston is your final form. Living in Charleston feels like stepping into a southern painting. But it comes at a cost. Humidity that could melt steel, parking that's basically street Tetris, and tourists who stop in the middle of the sidewalk to take pictures of a door. A door, Karen. Charleston drivers have 2 speeds, 12 miles per hour because they're soaking it all in, or 70 because they're late for brunch. No turn signals. Ever. Just vibes and blind faith. Oh, and good luck during hurricane season because nothing says coastal charm like wondering if your porch is going to fly away. Now imagine this. You're walking through the historic district, live jazz playing from a balcony, the smell of sweet tea and salt air swirling around you. Horse-drawn carriages pass, the sunset paints the sky in gold, and you're sipping a cocktail that was probably $14, but worth every cent. This is Charleston. And honestly, it feels like number 1. Like this video because admitting you want to move somewhere for the vibes is totally valid. Subscribe so you don't end up living somewhere that smells like regret and stale subway air.